Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Raja Umar on my channel RU Speaks. Raja Umar speaks for you for the subjects of Pakistan studies and global perspectives. And these days we are discussing the topics related to the component 1 of Pakistan studies, that is the history and culture of Pakistan. And we are done with the events related to the up to the Simon Commission, and we have already discussed the 4 marks questions of the whole of this previous part of the section. I mean, right from 1885 up till the Simon Commission of 1927. We have discussed all those 4 marks questions as well. Now we are moving forward towards the next topic, that is the event of 1928, that is Nehru Report. If I tell you the background of this one, that why this particular event happened, that Nehru presented his report. As you know, that because of the failure of the Simon Commission and because of the rejection of Delhi proposals presented by Jinnah and Muslim leaders over there at Delhi of 1927, the British government was really very much annoyed with the attitude of the locals, whether the Muslims or the Hindus, that these two communities, the Muslims and the Hindus, they were not cooperating well with the British as per the British, that these two communities were not committed enough to bring the future reforms of the subcontinent. So the British government asked the locals that come up with your own proposals, come up with your own reports and your own sort of reforms. We will try to get them passed from the British Parliament to implement them over there in the subcontinent. So keeping in view that one, Mr. Nehru presented his report just to put forward the demands of the Hindus or of Indian National Congress to the British so that they should be included in the upcoming reforms, right? But in these proposals or the report, there were many things which were going against the political rights of the Muslims of the subcontinent, and Jinnah rejected the Nehru report and he drafted his own famous 14 points in the coming year in 1929. First, we are going to discuss the points related to Nehru report, and then we will talk about the Jinnah's 14 points in today's lesson. So do not forget to subscribe RU Speaks, as I am speaking for you. So topic is Nehru report of 1928, that why Nehru report was presented. You may be getting a 7 marks question to respond, to make some proposals which might be a part of the future Indian constitution or future reforms, which were really very much on the cards, that the British were in a frame of mind to present the new reforms, as they had already brought Simon Commission over here in the subcontinent in the previous year 1927 to draft or to present certain findings to move towards the new constitution or new reforms of the subcontinent. So just to put the Hindus' efforts towards those reforms, Nehru report was presented by Indian National Congress. To counter the British claim that Indians could not produce an acceptable constitution. As I said, that there was a greater conflict between the communities of the subcontinent, especially the Muslims and the Hindus, and what was perceived that after that conflict, the British, they got annoyed and they asked the locals that they should be presenting their reforms by themselves. So that's why Gandhi drafted those proposals and that report, just to make the things clear to the British that the Indians were unable to make certain constitution or certain reforms. So that report was considered as to be the upcoming reforms of the subcontinent, but presented by Indian National Congress, they may not likely be acceptable for others. So to counter the Simon Commission, as Simon Commission was rejected really very strongly by the locals, including Muslims and the Hindus, so this report was presented to counter the proposals given in the Simon Commission, as we have already studied the points related to the Simon Commission in the previous lessons. So this is how this report came up after a sort of constitutional or reforms crisis in the subcontinent, that Hindus or Indian National Congress tried to put forward their proposals or their demands in front of the British to be included in the upcoming constitution. What were the proposals presented by Nehru in that report? Dominion status, purely a sort of self-rule where there should be no interference by British in the political affairs of the subcontinent. So it means that this is what we call the sort of semi-independence. These days in 2025 we can see certain dominion statuses as well in a few countries of the world. Like Australia is having the dominion status, and Australia is still the colony of Britain, and in the same way New Zealand is the colony of Britain still, and you can say that having that dominion status. In the same way, Australia is after Australia, Canada is still the dominion of the British Empire still in 2025. So if full religious liberty is given, then no need for separate electorates for the Muslims. So it means that Congress rejected the separate electorate for the Muslims in the Nehru report. No reserved seats for the Muslims, as if they were rejecting the separate electorate, that definitely then there was no need for this one as well. So it means that Congress rejected the separate electorate, and on the basis of separate electorate, they reserved seats for the Muslims in the councils or in the assemblies as well. So no weightage in the larger provinces where Muslims were in greater population percentage. I mean Bengal and Punjab. Muslims' demand was that we should be given more seats in the assemblies on the basis of the population percentage in the province of Punjab and Bengal, but that was not the case in the sense of Nehru report, as the Hindus, they were not going to award the weightage of members in these two assemblies, very, very particularly in Bengal and Punjab. Unitary form of government, central, the Hindus or the Indian National Congress, they were in favor of the central government, but Muslims or Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, they were in the frame of mind to have the more provincial autonomy and stronger provincial governments, as Muslims perceived that they might be having certain provinces to rule on, as if they went with the central on the basis of the majority of the Hindus. The central government would always be of Hindus, and the central government would never come in the hands of the Muslims. But Muslims wanted that there should be the strong provincial system, so that Punjab, Bengal, Sindh, if separated from Bombay, and WFP, if reforms are introduced, Balochistan, if reforms are introduced, these provinces may come under the control of the Muslims at that time. So Muslims were with the provincial autonomy, the Hindus were with the central government, the unitary system of government. Hindi should be the main language of the subcontinent. This was another point which was against the Muslims' wish or will. Vote for all men and women. This is good one. I mean, whoever is adult, and as per the universal adult franchise, everyone of having the age of 21 at that time should be given the right to vote in the subcontinent. So these points were of the Nehru report. These were the proposals he presented. Jinnah made certain amendments in the Nehru report presented by Mr. Nehru. 1/3 seats in central legislature should be for the Muslims. So Jinnah rejected the idea of no reserved seats. Point number 3 of Nehru report. Over here, Jinnah rejected that and said that there should be 1/3 seats in the Central Legislative Council for the Muslims. Federal form of government. Congress was saying unitary form of government, and this was totally opposite federal form of government when there would be more provincial autonomy, what I have already explained over here. So Jinnah was with this frame of mind to having the provincial autonomy rather than having the unitary form of government, as having a stronger central government under the control of the Hindus as they were in majority. In Punjab and Bengal, Muslims should be seats according to the population. I mean, again, Jinnah wanted the weightage system. These are the linking points. Point number 3 of Nehru report is linking with the point number 1 of the Jinnah's amendments, and point number 4 of the Nehru report linking with the point number 3 of the amendments presented by Jinnah, and point number 5 of Nehru report is linking with the point number 2 of the amendments presented by Jinnah in the Nehru report. So this shows that there was a greater difference, opposite directions, Mr. Nehru and Mr. Jinnah. So it means that still the conflict was there and it was not going to be resolved in any way. So here are certain questions related to the Nehru report, and we will discuss these ones in the form of the attempted questions in the description link. You can get those notes to be downloaded, or the attempted questions from the Google Drive link I will post over there. Now talking about the Jinnah's 14 points. Jinnah's 14 points of 1929, they were in response to the Nehru report. As you can say that somehow Nehru report was rejected by the Muslims. So rejection of Delhi, why Quaid-e-Azam presented his famous 14 points, the causes we are going to discuss, as the Muslims' proposals were rejected by the British and opposed by the Hindus of Delhi proposals of 1927. Then rejection of Nehru report, as Jinnah rejected the Nehru report of 1928. Rejection of Simon Commission by Jinnah of 1927. On rejection of Jinnah's amendments of Nehru report, as the amendments we just discussed in the upper points, that Jinnah supposed or presented certain amendments in the Nehru report, but Mr. Nehru and Indian National Congress rejected those amendments presented by Jinnah. So on the rejection of those amendments, Jinnah put forward his own famous 14 points. Right? So these were the reasons that why did Jinnah present his famous 14 points? You may get a 7 marks question over here. So importance of Jinnah's 14 points now. Sign of parting of ways of Muslim League and Congress. So it means that as I just explained in the upper points, that totally opposite directions, Indian National Congress and All India Muslim League. So it was over. There was no more Lucknow Pact, and whatever was accepted by both the political parties in Lucknow Pact has gone far away from each other. All future constitutions should be according to these points. So Quaid-e-Azam said that whatever the future constitution or the reforms are to be presented by the British government, those reforms or those constitutional amendments should be made in accordance with the 14 points presented. Negotiations with British Hindus to protect Muslim rights. So these points were really very important, as Muslim League had got really very important points to stand on and to work for the protection of the Muslim rights in the subcontinent, to unite different shades of Muslims, as Muslim League was getting a bit disintegrated at that time. It was 1929. Sir Mian Muhammad Shafi was there, who was opposing Jinnah on many points, and in the same way Allama Iqbal was opposing Quaid-e-Azam on many points. So just to bring all the Muslim factors on under a single flag, these points were really very important. So Muslims to get all sorts of safeguarding points over here. So you may also get another 7 marks question in the form of, why were the Jinnah's 14 points important in the history of the subcontinent? So if you get this question, you can put in any 3 points out of these to respond to these questions in the form of 3 really well explained points. So these were the Jinnah's 14 points. What were those points? That Jinnah's, all those points which are already explained in the form of the amendments presented in the Nehru report. So this is how we have got the questions related to Jinnah's 14 points. Why did Jinnah produce his 14 points in 1929? A 7 marks question. Then a 14 marks question, was the introduction of Jinnah's 14 points in 1929 the most important factor in the development of the Pakistan movement between 1928 to 1935. I mean, a timeline is given. So the students are supposed to discuss the importance of Jinnah's 14 points in level 3 and remaining all other events from 1928 to 1935 in level 4. I mean, they will discuss the 14 points in level 3 in 3 paragraphs, and in level 4 they will talk about Nehru report, they will talk about Allahabad address, they will talk about RTCs, roundtable conferences, and they will talk about the Government of India Act of 1935. So to meet out this timeline. So the 14 points were Muhammad Ali Jinnah's greatest achievement in the years 1929 to 1947. Do you agree? Explain your answer. 14 marker. So again, in level 3, 14 points will be discussed, and in level 4, the rest of the events will be discussed up to 1947. Right? So that would make your level 4, and then you will conclude with a really very good evaluation and judgment. Which of the following was the most important in the development of Pakistan movement? Simon Commission, Jinnah's 14 points, and the Government of India Act 1935. So whatever you will put, for example, if you put this one, that this one was the most important development in Pakistan movement, then you are supposed to take Jinnah's 14 points in level 3 and you will explain 3 reasons. And then level 4, you will talk about 2 points of this one, or 2 points of this one, or 1 point of the other one. I mean, Simon Commission 2 points and Government of India Act 1 point. So 6. So this will make you level 3, this will make you level 4, and then level 5 your evaluation and judgment. This is how you will be attempting this one. So again, the same question is repeated in October number 2007 as well. So here, Nehru report, Jinnah's 14 points, and Government of India Act. Instead of Simon Commission, they have added Nehru report over here. The same response would be there, excluding Simon Commission and including Nehru report over here. So this is how we are up to the end of this one, and in the next lesson we will talk about the Allahabad address of Allama Iqbal. So in these 2 days we have discussed the events from 1927 to 1929. So up till now, this is over from my side. Do not forget to subscribe my channel RU Speaks. Thank you so much for being with me. Allah Hafiz.